Hi, so we are on our section 2 of Spanner Fundamentals, where we will be covering creating instance and databases in Spanner, and we'll also be discussing the pricing aspect and IAM permissions. So in this video, we will set up an instance from GCP console and look at the multiple options available to us while creating one. So let's get started. Okay, so first of all, we'll land at the GCP console and we'll be searching Spanner and click on that. So it will take us on the Spanner's landing page and it is showing me an option of creating an instance. So basically, once we're creating an instance, we're basically allocating the resources that will be used by the databases created in that instance. So I click on it, the create instance, and it takes me to the instance creation dialog where we can see a number of options. So first of all, I'll name my instance, which is basically for display purposes only. It will be used as an instance name. However, the other one is a unique instance ID since I previously created a tense instance which I deleted. So it's displaying me that. So as I'll be entering my instance ID, so let's name it as test instance 1. So it will also paste it in the instance ID tab. So basically, instance ID is a unique identifier for the instance. Now, there are two important choices to be made while creating an instance. One is the instance configuration, and the other is the node count. The configuration choice is permanent, however, we can change the node count later on. The configuration concerns itself with the geographical placement of the node and how instance replication occurs. So it tells you that the choice is permanent here. So we'll come back to the configurations later on as we cannot change it. So we'll have to think carefully on that. In terms of the node count, the number of nodes determines the amount of serving and storage resources that are available to the databases in the instance. Each node provides up to 2 terabytes of storage. If you click on the node guidance, it guides you that minimum of 3 nodes are recommended for production configuration. And you can select a number of nodes and you can later change it. For example, if you need to scale up the serving and storage resources, you will be adding more nodes to the instance. Also, it is important to know that if you add more nodes, it won't increase the number of replicas, but only the resources, the physical resources that are available to those replicas. So it will increase the CPU and RAM of the replicas, which will in turn increase the replicas throughput and hence the read and write performance. Also, if you want to know the number of servers reserved in the Cloud Spanner instance, it's basically a simple calculation. It's equal to the number of nodes multiplied by the number of replicas. Note that the Cloud Spanner nodes, they're dedicated resources, and even if you're not running any workload on them, they'll still be performing the background operations to optimize and protect your data. So coming back to the configuration, I have two options available, regional and multi-region. If our apps and users are in a single region and to get the lowest latency reads and writes, it's recommended to use regional configuration. So when I click on here, there are various options available here. Here for our purpose, I'll be selecting the East Asia, and I can see the configuration details of East Asia appearing here. In this dialog box, I can see the description, and for any regional configuration, Spanner maintains 3 read-write replicas for fault tolerance. So each replica is within a different GCP availability zone. Region is basically a geographical location and zone is an isolated location within the region. So each replica has a full copy of your database and replicas are in different zones so that single zone failure won't affect the others, and this ensures an availability SLA of 4 nines, but at least 3 nodes are required for the SLA to apply, which now we can select over here. The next option is the multi-region configuration. So basically I have North American, European region to select from, or North American region. So I'll click over here. So you can select this multi-region configuration if your app is geographically distributed with respect to the number of users, for example. This configuration provides faster reads at more places at the cost of a small increase in write latency. Here I can see the physical location of my instance. So we can see that it's located in US, Europe, and Asia. And the details on the replicas. So there are two read write replicas in US Central 1 region. And we can see that it's the default leader region. The default leader region is basically the one where all the writes will first travel to. And there is this read write replica. And then there are two regions which only have read-only replicas, and this increases the read throughput without having an impact on write latency. So we have an availability SLA of 5 nines, which is also ensured by having at least 3 nodes. Here there are performance guidelines that basically guide you that write heavy workloads should be near the leader region for optimal performance. So once we have gone through that, for my particular instance, I'll be selecting the regional configuration and selecting one node. And here, if I look down there, I can also see that the pricing information is available here, but we'll be looking into more detail into it later on. And here it tells me the node's cost per hour and the storage cost per hour. If I select, say, a different region, the cost will change. So basically, I'll just click on the create instance and we'll start working on it. So I can see that my instance is created with one node in it. Okay, so once I'm done creating my test instance 1, I can move on to creating a database inside the instance. But before that, let me show you, if you want to edit an instance, you can go over to the edit instance option in console. Let's say I want to scale up my instance and I want to increase the number of nodes to 3. So I'll just save it and I'll have my instance edited. And now I can see in the overview that I have 3 nodes appearing. Also, there is an option to delete an instance, and it is showing me my instance ID over here, and I'll have to type it over here to get it deleted. So now I've deleted it. It takes me again to the Cloud Spanner instances page to create an instance again. So that was all what I could do with my instance from the console.